Hey everyone, welcome. So today we're going to talk about something a lot of us probably see as a real strength, and that's hyperindependence. But what if there's more to it? Let's get into it.
Okay, does this one hit a little close to home? You know that feeling, right? That intense self-reliance, that pride you take in never needing anyone? It's like we wear it as a badge of honor. But what if it's not a badge? What if it's, I don't know, a super heavy piece of armor that we just never learned how to take off?
This right here, this metaphor is just so powerful, isn't it? It's that feeling of just drowning. But instead of reaching for a life raft, you're desperately trying to teach yourself how to breathe underwater. And when someone asks if you're okay, the answer is always, I'm fine, even when it's not.
All right, so let's get right into the heart of this. We're going to start unpacking this so-called strength that somehow can end up making us feel incredibly alone.
Okay, first things first, and this is super important. Let's reframe this right now. Hyperindependence is not a personality flaw. This is not about blaming yourself, not at all. Think of it as a survival mechanism. It's the tool you had to build when you learned, probably at a very young age, that you had to be your own hero.
So to really get this, we're going to look at three common stories, three archetypes, if you will, that often lead to this kind of fierce independence. And as we walk through them, just see if any of them, sound a little bit like your story.
All right, first up, we have Type 1, the latchkey survivor. And yeah, this story often kicks off in a quiet house, in a world that felt kind of empty, but also, in a weird way, totally yours to figure out on your own. So, the latchkey survivor. This is anyone who grew up with that silence and freedom. You basically had to figure stuff out on your own. You became an expert at self-soothing, at solving your own problems. For you, the only person you could really count on was yourself. And because of that, asking for help today, it just feels weird. It's totally a foreign concept, right?
So I want you to really sit with this for a second. Be honest with yourself. Do you truly believe, deep down, that at the end of the day, the only one who can save you is you? If that hits hard, this might be your story.
And if you are a latchkey survivor, here's a little something to try. A morning affirmation to start gently rewiring that belief. Just try telling yourself, I am safe enough to rely on others. My strength includes knowing when to ask for support.
Okay, our second type is the invisible fixer. And this is for anyone who learned early on that your value was directly tied to how useful you were to other people.
Yeah, the invisible fixer. You learned that keeping things stable meant staying small. You were probably praised a lot for being the strong one or so mature for your age. The thing is, you came to believe your value really depends on how much you do for others. And now you're terrified that if you show your own needs, people will just leave.
So here's the reflection question for you. Do you have this deep fear that if you stop solving everyone else's problems, you'll lose your value in their eyes, that they might not stick around? And for all the invisible fixers out there, here is a powerful, crucial reminder for your mornings. My worth is inherent. I am more than what I can do for others.
And that brings us to our third and final type, the Stoic strategist. This is the master planner, the person who looks at vulnerability and sees it as a massive, unacceptable risk.
The Stoic strategist learned that pain is something you carry, not something you show. You're always planning 10 steps ahead, specifically to avoid having to depend on anyone. For you, vulnerability isn't a strength, it's a tactical error. It's a risk you're not willing to take. You would much rather work twice as hard in total silence than risk the uncertainty of relying on someone else. So here's your question. Does asking for help feel like a strategic failure to you? Like a loss of control, a major flaw in your otherwise perfect plan? If so, you're looking right at the core of the strategist's mindset.
And for the Stoic strategist, we have an affirmation designed to help redefine what strength really means. It is safe for me to be vulnerable. True strength lies in connection, not just in control.
So whether you see yourself in the survivor, the fixer, or the strategist, or maybe even a mix of them, it's important to realize these aren't just stories, they're patterns. And once you see the pattern, well, that's the key to reframing this whole thing.
This is really the heart of it all. It's about a simple but profound shift in how we talk about ourselves. What you call your personality trait, like, oh, I'm just independent, is actually a survival pattern, a learned response to not getting enough support. What you call being strong, that could just be your body still scanning for a crisis that ended years ago. And when you say, I don't need anyone, that's a defense mechanism, a shield to avoid the pain of being let down. And when you see it this way, it leads to a really powerful truth.
Which is this: growing up too fast doesn't mean you are strong, it means you are unsupported. Just let that one sink in. This whole time, you might have been telling yourself a story about what a strong kid you were. But what if the real story is about a kid who had to be strong because they didn't have the support they really needed and absolutely deserved?
Understanding that's the key that unlocks the whole thing. So now, let's talk about what's on the other side of that door. Let's talk about actually giving yourself permission to need other people. So here's our new definition of maturity. It is not proving you can do everything all by yourself. True maturity is giving yourself permission to need support without feeling any shame about it. It's about having the courage to connect.
Okay, so how do we actually do this? How do we start? Well, here are 3 really simple, super low-stakes steps you can take, like this week. Step 1, start small. I mean, really small. Ask someone you trust for a tiny favor. Step 2, share information. Instead of that automatic, I'm fine, just try saying, I'm having a tough day. You don't even have to ask for a solution. And step 3, receive gracefully. When someone offers to help, instead of your usual, no, I've got it, just practice saying, thank you, I'd like that. It's like building a new muscle, one tiny little rep at a time.
So, we'll end on this question. You now understand the story behind your independence. You can see the patterns, maybe you even recognize your archetype. The only question left is, are you ready to write a new chapter? Are you ready to write a story where your strength is found not just in doing it all alone, but in connection and support too?